Boodle, I went after it. It was the only time in my life, in my career, that I really went after something full tilt. And as I say, I had to force people to accept the idea that I could do it. Josh Logan, the great musical director, he was going to direct Mame. He didn't think I was right for it at all. And I had to audition for him. It was the most embarrassing thing I'd ever been through, but I didn't think of it as embarrassing. I just went for it, you know. I wanted it. I really wanted this role.
Because you talk about like Josh Logan and all that, it's amazing how often in your business somebody has to prove themselves, even to great professionals.
Well, it's very true. And because when you're casting, as you know, everybody has a different sort of picture in their mind's eye of what they want to see out there. And he obviously had seen Rose Russell, I suppose, and they had made a movie of it. She'd done it on the theater, she'd done it on the film. So this was the first musical. And why he couldn't think beyond that, I don't know. And he wrote me a note very late in his life, just before he died. He said, I hope you understood that I always thought you were a fine performer. And I didn't cancel you out for the role. He was worried that I thought he had, but he did.
But he did?
He did.
So how did you finally find out that you'd gotten it?
Well, after about 3 or 4 auditions.
Was this going back and forth from California?
From California to New York. It was expensive, and I was paying, you know. And I'd go in, I'd get out there and do my thing, light the candles, you know, and the whole business. And finally, I said to them, you have to decide this trip. I said, otherwise, I'm going back to California, to my family, and I'm not coming back. So the producer came to me, one of the young producers, Jimmy Carr. He literally got down on one knee because he was sweet, and he offered it to me. And you know, I was about 39 at that point, you know, and I was ready for Broadway.
What is an opening night like on Broadway, that night, to be the toast of Broadway and have it all come together?
Well, you know, it's very hard to describe what it's like, because it's all happening, you know, it's happening from minute to minute, and it's everybody's party, because people are so excited that the show was so well received, and they're so excited for me. Many of my friends felt at last she's come out, you know.
I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware, though, when you have a success in New York, what it really means, because everybody in New York talks about it. And how was that for that year?
It was thrilling, and it's very heady. I mean, you can't help but be affected by it. You can't. You will pay into it. There's no question about it, because suddenly you're just walking down the street and you're suddenly wearing kind of lovely clothes and things, and people are noticing you, and cab drivers are shouting to you, and you know, people are they know you're the hit of that piece of the season. So you know, you kind of live it up.
Now, this has to be a bit of a sore subject, but you weren't asked to do the movie of Mame.
It was a disappointment. There's no question about it. A terrible, terrible disappointment. I really thought I had a shot at it, and I know I should have done it. I know I should have done it.
Oh, we all know you should have done it too.
Well, that's life.
Did you get close to it, do you think?
No. I don't think I got so close to it. Although I had a lot of people who were backing me for it, particularly Jerry Herman, you know. But Warner Brothers didn't think I had the star power to carry the movie. But if the critics had seen it, and if we'd made it, they would have sold it to the audience, and the audience would have picked it up. I'm sure they would, because it would have been so extraordinary.
It's too bad that didn't happen. So now you're kind of a New Yorker for the next several years. After that, you win the Tony Award for Mame, and then you do Dear World.
Then that came to an end quite briskly. 6 months, I think, we ran. So I came back to California after Dear World closed, and during the period that I was back, our house in Malibu burnt down. And it was during one of the Malibu fires, and it was a terribly desperate, sad time for us, because we lost everything. I mean, everything. And at that point, my children weren't doing very well. They were having their problems, as many children were at that time. 1971 this was. So I said to Peter, I said, I really think we've got to make a move. Things are going badly. So I went ahead to Ireland. I flew to Ireland from Boston.
Why Ireland?
Ireland because it was my mother's birthplace, and I loved Ireland. I always loved Ireland as a child. I always felt comfortable, and I felt it was kind of my spiritual home. I can't explain it. And I was English as all get out, but I had this huge Irish thing. So we started looking for a house, and we found a house finally, and we settled as a family in Ireland. I just started living again.
It's interesting you said that in the 60s you weren't offered that many movie roles, but you did do In the Cool of the Day with Jane Fonda and Peter Finch.
It was a difficult movie for me. I did my best, but I didn't think that it was that good. We shot it in Greece.
If your Greek friends are so smart, why don't they build an escalator? You two go on.
Aren't you going to see the Parthenon?
No, I'm enjoying myself here. You go on. And have a ball.
Jane was very unsure of herself in those days and struggling, you know, with her acting.
I just thought I'd say goodbye. Relax, dear. He's all yours.
We started off very well together. Then she was afraid of becoming too friendly with me because she knew that she couldn't be friendly with this character. She was afraid if she became friendly with me that it would, you know, spoil her scenes. It wouldn't have, actually. It shouldn't. We're actors, not, you know.
And The World of Henry Orient, which is one of our favorites here at TCM.
Yes.
With Peter Sellers.
Yes, absolutely.
And what a madman he supposedly was. Was he on the set?
Not on the set with us at all.
Really?
In fact, you could have said, who is this straight man we're dealing with here? I mean, he didn't give it any trouble whatsoever. He was also somebody who liked to ad-lib his way, and he and I had a couple of wonderful scenes, or one wonderful scene, certainly. The scene in the restaurant, that's where we really did. When I had that black hat on, we knew the gist of what we were talking about. Just make it up as we went along. A couple of total phonies, you know, out-phoning each other.
One of the amazing things is that you made Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, and that was in 1971?
Yes.
That's the last film you made in Hollywood, to date. I mean, you've made many other films, but all things done on location.
That's absolutely true.
That is amazing.
I can be cast easier from England, I think, you know, because after all, Death on the Nile was an English production.
One of the interesting things about Death on the Nile, I think, is the fact that the cast includes Bette Davis and Maggie Smith and David Niven and Peter Ustinov. Tell about the family connection to Peter Ustinov.
Peter Ustinov was a young student back in 1939, and he and my sister, Isolde, went to drama school together in London. Peter was already a brilliant raconteur and had a little act that he used to do, and he just made us roar with laughter. But anyway, they got married. And
so you were related at one point to Peter Ustinov?
Yes, I was indeed.
And this is the first and only time you worked with him?
The only time, yes.
So maybe not a lot of movies during your career at that point, but you did have another great success on Broadway and in London, in Gypsy, and also a reunion with Stephen Sondheim, and another one of your great successes, Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd, oddly enough, was a huge success for me because it came so late in my career, you know. And this was a benchmark in Stephen Sondheim's career, too. I mean, he will be remembered for that in the theater. And finally, down the road, that is what I will be remembered for.
Really?
Oh, yes. No question about it. Because it's the only performance that I have in the theater that's on tape.
Well, we mentioned the films like Gaslight, Picture of Dorian Gray, Manchurian Candidate, etc., that made a big impression on people. Was there a film that you made that you were particularly fond of that didn't capture the attention, and you were sorry about that?
The Dark at the Top of the Stairs, oddly enough, was a movie that I felt had some lovely moments in it.
Didn't quite get the attention.
It didn't get the attention, no. Not at all. And that was kind of disappointing. It was kind of heavy-duty melodrama, you know. And I didn't think I could pull it off. But I felt that I did. Not me, but Bob Preston and I managed to keep it on a certain level that was very believable, and also it meant a lot to a lot of women who knew their husbands were carrying on, and it was their fault, you know.